Full Melt Show is intended for a mature audience. It contains adult themes, adult content, and sometimes adult language. Listener discretion is advised.
It's the Full Metal Show.
Are you high? What are you talking about?
This is the Full Melt.
The Full Melt Show. A marijuana discussion about news, culture, politics, and lifestyle. FullMelt.com. Toll free. 844-420-TALK. 844-420-TALK.
Welcome to another edition of the Full Melt Show. Live from the PetPain.com studios in suburban Detroit. I'm Steve Green. I'll be serving to you today marijuana fare and content from around the country. I think the special today is bullshit. Can I interest you in some bullshit? Would you like to start out with some bullshit before? A little drink first, maybe? Oh, there seems to be a lot of bullshit on the menu. I still got this horrible taste in my mouth yesterday over the announcement that they had not approved autism. You know, the whole controversy in a nutshell was they had to sue to get them to hear the condition. This is a panel designed to do this. They then, when the material came back from the court under court order to hear the condition, they omitted all the 800-some pages, 800-some pages of statistical research data, well, statistics and also studies that backed their claim that cannabis helped autism and why and how. And the whole 9 yards. It's what the petition requires you do. They omitted it. And they got it back in after somebody on the panel noticed and objected to it. Thank you, David Brogan. And then they, when they finally heard it a couple weeks later, or almost a couple weeks later, they approved it 4-2. And then finally yesterday, the person that is the head of that department in Lara, who has to put his final signature on it, refused to do so. And it's not so much that you're not advancing marijuana policy that angers me at all, because we'll take care of that on our own if you're not going to do it. You already know what the end game to that measure is. However, that being said, I don't think that you understand the harm you're doing along the way, and you're doing it in the name of the very thing that you're doing. Does that make sense? I don't know. Let's put this in another way so it makes more sense. You're making the claim that more harm is likely than not if you allow autistic children to have access to medical cannabis to treat their condition. And this is with 2 doctor certifications, 2 doctor recommendations. Hard enough to get one. You had 2 of them. And then you've still got to acquire a caregiver for all this stuff. They said no. I mean, the people that have autism, that have parents generally, that are because adults aren't affected as severely by this condition as the children are. I don't know if it's a conditioning factor. I don't know if it's some other factor. It seems like it would be conditioning. It's something you get used to over time, and perhaps you react less severely towards the symptoms. It depends on where you land on the spectrum. But assuming we're talking about people at the end of that spectrum, you're talking about people who are severely impaired by their perception of reality. I mean, they're overwhelmed with stimulus. Have you ever been in a situation where you've got a bad headache? Hungover is a great example. And this is just a tiny glare of what these kids are going through. This is just, hungover, and any kind of light or any kind of sound is just maddeningly intolerable. I guess the proper way to say that would be intolerable. Whatever you're doing, you must stop that now before I murder you. That is the response you give when you're in that situation. And it's not just sound. It's not just light. It's every sensory perception that these people have, that these young kids have. Overwhelmed, overloaded with stimulus. It's amplified. It's like turning up your headphones too loud on everything. And this is why they respond the way that they do. I mean, you would respond that way too if all of a sudden every input you had was jacked up to plus 11 on a scale of 1 to 10. That's where these kids lie in that autistic spectrum. That's what their reality is. And the fact of the matter is that when you affect the CB1 and CB2 receptor in the brain, you calm inflammation and you stop many of the symptoms. You attenuate this in their system to a manageable level, one that isn't going to require such a dramatic response. I mean, that's what's going on here. Do you understand this? Why would you let these children suffer in that way when they know that cannabinoids through THC and CBD together, affecting those two receptors in the brain, it's demonstrated scientifically. There's peer-reviewed study on this that you reviewed in that panel. And I don't know if I made it clear about how this happened or what it means or the impact. I think today I wanted to give a little different angle on that for just a minute anyway at the front end of the show here, because it still leaves such a bad taste in my mouth that in the name of saying that you're trying to protect children who have autism, you're actually harming them. Shame on you for not looking into this as your job requires to understand the effect that your decision as one man, one person, the be-all and say-all and end-all on this subject, despite this multi-layered, statutorily required and described panel that is supposed to be in place to review these situations. What's the point in even having a panel if the guy at the head of the department in charge of administering it can just say effing no? So today it's the kids I'm fighting for, those kids. Yes, it's a small segment of the population. It doesn't matter. It's an ever larger part of our population. And if there's something that you can do to help these kids be in a condition that is not only manageable, but also maybe gives them some response to human input, gives them an ability to respond back to you, maybe gives them an ability, an environment in which they could learn a little bit, be a little more normal, help overcome the condition that they're presented with, regardless of how they ended up in that situation. Leave that for another day's argument. We'll have that actually on this show, hopefully pretty soon. Something that points directly to the cause of this. Leave that for another day. But the fact of the matter, Mr. Zimmer at Laura should be sulking his head in high shame today. You should be crawling under a rock, and I'm not talking about Dwayne Johnson or Zsa Zsa Gabor. I'm not talking about the Prudential either, but that's about a closer place you should be is under that rock. You have to live there already anyways to make a decision like this in the face and light of this overwhelming evidence you were presented with. I've looked at some of this stuff. I mean, how could you argue this? Oh, that's right. Our government's corrupt. Damn it. I keep forgetting that. It clearly is, because you can't make this claim with a straight face. How can you? And I think that you're going to end up discovering, appointee or not, by Governor Snyder of Michigan, Mr. Zimmer, that this decision will suit to haunt you. And I hope that it does until your dying day. Because these kids don't deserve that from you. They don't. And you want to say in the name of a part of what your answer is the 4-page response he gave. Trying to make it official. Oh, write as many words as you can. It's all a dance around, hocus pocus, smoke and mirrors, goodbye. It's what it is. And none of it has any logic to it at all. I mean, there's no logic or science tied to this one man's opine on paper that denies these kids some focus, some hope, some light at the end of their tunnel. And the parents and the families that go along with them, because they're the ones that have to cope with this secondarily, don't they? Everybody wrapped around those kids' lives has to cope with this. Their burden, their pain is in your lap, Mr. Zimmer. And I hope you have a hard time sleeping at night. So that's enough of that. Seriously, because if I talked about it any longer, it would consume me and probably the rest of the show, and I don't want to do that. I'd like to make a punch and run. By the way, there's a great picture. If you haven't been privy to our Facebook page, the Full Melt Show's Facebook page, please click on it. Look it up there. Just search for it. It's really easy, the Full Melt. And I posted a picture of Mr. Zimmer. He's holding a big cutout sign that's shaped like the like sign, the thumbs up like sign on Facebook. And on the hand part, it says, I like Michigan, and in parentheses underneath it says, but screw sick kids. I mean, that's the poster you painted of yourself, Mr. Zimmer. I didn't make that meme. Somebody else did. But it certainly suits you. And if the suit fits, wear it. You know, I made some other comical references that are kind of personal attacks, and probably well-deserved, I think, at this point. But I'll refrain from using them on the air. If you want to see them, you'll have to check out the Full Melt's Facebook page. That being said, what do we got left for time? I always got to check the time. Oh, look at that. We're going into break. How does that happen? Getting used to the breaks. And by the time I get done talking, we're already at a break anyways. I could keep talking, as a matter of fact, and go into a second hour and probably a third hour and still have stuff to talk about. We're relegated to just this 1 hour. When we come back, we got some silly stuff, some serious stuff, and some downright serious stuff, and then some stuff that you'll just go meh to. That's M-E-H, period. For you that aren't familiar with the Facebook, all that stuff.
You're getting the Full Melt.
Got something to hide? Canalock offers discreet and effective storage solutions that destroy odor, so nobody knows. Canalock is a patented charcoal-activated bag that discreetly stores your marijuana. Canalock is made from the same material as military chemical warfare suits. Get yours at canalock.com. Visit Canalock.com to learn more about no-smell technology.
Hey, it's Steve Green for the Sweet Leaf in Flint, because now getting safe access to medical cannabis patients in Flint, Michigan is never more welcoming. Presenting the Sweet Leaf, a brand new patient experience bringing 12 carefully selected caregivers housed in 9 separate offices to distinctly assist you with their knowledge and reputation for excellent patient care. Classes and training coming soon in the large community room. Check it out in person, 400 South Door Highway, or call 810-259-2571. The Sweet Leaf Center in Flint, 810-259-2571.
Get growing with GrowMax. Indoor, outdoor, beginner, or a warehouse full of Gavitas. Probiotic organics, or huge production with Max Power Monster Aeroponics systems. We can help you rock it. YouTube GrowMax with 2 X's. Customer service is why we're blowing up. And I'm Dave. My cell number is 906-221-2111. We also specialize in electrical and HVAC and new double-ended bulb technology. 906-221-2111. Get growing. GrowMax.
Introducing Sacred Elements, a place for natural and alternative healing for the mind, body, and soul. Sacred Elements. It's It's one place, all solutions.
Registered, licensed, certified, ordained.
Sacred elements.
Massage, hypnosis, Reiki,
Sacred elements.
raindrop, aroma and color therapy, body detox, ministry, life coaching, weight and nutrition counseling.
Sacred elements. Next to the Sweet Leaf, 400 South Dorr Highway, Flint.
11 to 7 daily, closed Sunday.
Call 810-259-2570.
Young students are our future. They're eager to learn, eager to succeed, eager to make the world a better place. And they want to make it to school safely. Share the road, take care when passing, and always leave 3 feet between you and people on bikes. Bikes are legal road vehicles. We're all drivers.
Don't miss the first ever cannabis competition this year as the prize contest moves from Amsterdam to Jamaica. That's right, it's all Jamaican fun now with the Big Cup competition in Negril this November. Get your best travel accommodations now at JamaicaPot.com. Pack your beach bong and swimsuit and party down at the warm sandy beaches of Negril, Jamaica for the first ever big cannabis event this year. Do it in style or come have fun on a budget. Best travel prices now at JamaicaPot.com. That's JamaicaPot.com.
It's the Full Melt Radio Show.
Radio show.
Monday through Friday from 7 until 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time is when you'll find us. If you want to give us a call on the Canalock No Smell Bags phone lines, it's 1-844-420-TALK. Toll free, that's 1-844-420-8255. Heads up if you haven't noticed, right after they got done doing the Clio Cannabis Cup event, High Times Magazine posted all the information about the Jamaica Cannabis Cup. If you haven't heard, they moved the Cannabis Cup World event this year from the Netherlands to beautiful, sunny, sandy beach to Jamaica. And it's at 7 Mile Beach. All the details, pricing, they got some great hotel packages. Check it out at cannabiscup.com. Really easy stuff to find. And they've got it all priced out and packaged for you. It looks like they've got everything from like 4.5-star hotels on down to like 2 or 1-star hotels. Maybe the whole spectrum there that you can pick from. Find the place that you fit on with your budget and see if you can't get down there. I think what tickets are like $269 if memory serves. It's a 4-day event. It's not 2, it's not 3, it's 4 days. Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday. Right there in the middle of the month in Jamaica. First part of the middle of the month. What is it, the 12th through the 15th, something like that? All right, what is it? Yeah, the 12th through the 15th. Memory does serve. Look at that. So there's a program note for you. Well, not a program note, but an event note. I think everybody was kind of waiting to see what was going on there. Being the first one, everybody was waiting with bated breath in this case. And so all the details are there. They've got it all up, as much as they're going to tell you anyways right now. And so there you go. Go check it out. Now, in other news today, by the way, I don't know if I should read this or not. I think I want not to. I think I'm going to quickly anyways because, I don't know, I read the M Live version of this story yesterday, but I have to congratulate. I won't read it again because we already talked about the subject, but I have to congratulate Mr. Leitner from the Free Press for getting picked up by the USA Today. Associated Press picked up that article and ran with it, printing it on the USA Today. I imagine it hit other newsstands all across the country as well. So there you go. The albatross you get to wear around your neck, Mr. Zimmer, was presented on newsstands across the country and electronically delivered to people's mobile devices and desktop computers right there with their AOL mail or whatever the hell they got going on. If you're really old, you got the AOL. I don't have the AOL. My mom's got the AOL. And she's proud of her AOL. So there you go. You got your badge of shame, your cross to carry around now, nationally, Mr. Zimmer. Why would you commit political suicide like that? I mean, this only highlights your stupidity. Honestly, it does. Oh man, I'm losing my place here. Oh, I did lose my place. No, okay, here we go. I wanted to bring up this point about jury nullification. I think part of the underpinning story of the legalization of marijuana that people, it's the unsung story about how this got done, at least in Colorado, which was the first place to get it done legally. And probably the best shining example of a system in place. It's one the people are happy with. It seems to be one the government's happy with. They're making checks and balances with the feds. Everything's going great out there. I saw a story today that states have collected $200 million in taxes on marijuana thusly far. $200 million. It's nearly $250 million in tax revenue. Why weren't you collecting this all throughout the 80s and the 70s and the 90s and the 2000s? Some 40 years there. Or better. Could have been, when the hippies broke out with a pot, they got their lid. That's an old reference. You know what a lid is? It's just for people who don't know what a lid is. This is an old people thing. It's beyond my years. This is pre-technology to my dating, but was still referenced by the people just above me, like one step above me, one shelf higher than me on the age scale. They dealt with the lids. So they'd peel the top off of a Folgers can or a Maxwell coffee can, their standard sizes, and they'd take that lid and they'd put it on the table, and they'd get their big bag of weed, stems, seeds, and all, and they'd pile it on the plastic lid until it was cone-shaped, and you couldn't put any more on without it falling off the side of the mountain of marijuana that was on the lid. And when you reached that state, they would dump it into a bag, and that was a lid. I don't think there were too many ways of measuring things carefully back in the day. They didn't have the little hand scales and all that stuff back then, so they did it like that. They did, hey, you got an extra lid for me? Psst, hey, I need a lid. You got a lid? Now my brother calls a bowl a lid. Hey, I'm going to smoke a lid over here. We're going to come over here and check out. I'm going to smoke a lid. Really? That's a big bowl you got there, brother. So, the unsung story. Remember, that's where I headed this up at. Sidetracked there a little bit for comedy's sake. Attempted comedy's sake. We'll put it that way. The unsung story is that jury nullification was the way that this got started in Colorado. Here's where it began, the conversation with the government. You see, in Michigan, we could never get jury nullification to take off, mostly because there's blockading all around the courtrooms over jury nullification. If you stand outside, and by the way, the Supreme Court has made, courts have made rulings that you cannot prevent people from handing out jury nullification information to people at the courthouse. You got to let them hand it out. I know for a fact that there are people in the prosecutor's office in Oakland County, Michigan, who have detectives sitting outside courtrooms occasionally looking for these people, taking pictures of them so that they can try and mount a case of jury tampering. And let me just tell you that you're not jury tampering if you're handing out information about public citizen ability. And I think this story will highlight what I'm trying to say in a better way, so I'll read it to you. Because this is the unsung story. This is how Colorado got this done. Like I said, Michigan, we could never get jury nullification done, mostly because when we tried to organize it, it was thwarted by prosecutors and judges trying to say that there's jury tampering going on. It's not jury tampering. It's citizen informing. It's public service is what that is. And people got a right to that free speech. And you can't blockade that knowledge. They've been doing it anyways. Unconstitutionally, I believe. And that's why we couldn't get it done here. But Colorado didn't work so well that way. That's where the conversation got started with government, because when government started to begin to realize that they could not get marijuana prosecutions done, no matter what the size, no matter what the amount, no matter how big the grow, no matter what, possession, nothing, especially in the Denver area, they could not get these prosecutions done. Prosecutors began to say, whoa, wait a minute. I have to live and die on that record. I mean, what happens here in this courtroom, my loss record, is something I'm going to be married to at election time because the prosecutor's office is a public position that is an elected position. It is not appointed. And technically, they're the highest law enforcement official in the county. I mean, that's how it works. They're above the sheriff because the sheriff can bring anything to them that they want. Any police agency could bring anything to them that they wanted on a county level. And the prosecutor could say, you know what? I'm not going to take that case. Not taking it. You know why? Because I'm going to lose it. Because every time I assemble a jury for a marijuana trial, even though I present overwhelming evidence, beyond a reasonable doubt evidence, sometimes even with admissions in place, where they admitted their guilt. So I could prove their guilt, I could get them to admit their guilt, and I still get a jury that says we're either hung or, because now we got to start over again, right? Mistrial, start over. Or we're acquitting. We're not going to put this guy in prison over his pot farm. It's a ridiculous waste of our Colorado tax dollars, and they're absolutely right. But they were able to get that done and inform their citizenry that, hey, if you get called to jury duty and you get a pot case, vote no. It doesn't matter whether they're innocent or whether they're guilty. It doesn't matter. It's an unjust law, and you've got the right to say no. You've got the right, after hearing all of this, to decide on your own as a citizen that whether he's guilty or innocent isn't the case. Am I sending this person to prison and grinding him through the criminal justice system or not? That's the question at play. Regardless of what the prosecutors and the judges tell you, they're preloaded for their own victory. That victory has impact. It's almost like what I would call a conflict of interest. That those people would be sitting in those positions and have to, run on their record, and they won't take cases because they can't win them. I mean, that's a good thing, but they shouldn't be running this for their own benefit. That prosecutor in the future is going to go off to try and become a mayor or a governor or a judge. It happens all the time. And they do this. It's run on their record. So the idea that they would take low-hanging fruit, easy to prosecute stuff, over stuff that's a little harder to do so they could have a win-loss record that gets them into office someplace else is ridiculous. It's antithetical to the office you hold. It is a corruptive factor. It is an incentive to misbehave, and that's what clearly they've done throughout time. For the past 40, 50 years, they've done it this way. Joe, I can't wait till 8. I was going to tell you coming out of the break that I was going to do a Butters update. At 7:30 or 8 o'clock. And are we at the 7:30 mark yet? Not quite. Yeah, we are at the 7:30 mark. Just a few minutes left in the segment. But so he just texted me because he's on the move. I think he's going out to check out the industrial hemp farm in Kentucky. Joe is a bald-naked hillbilly in the woods right now, tending his hemp farm on Camp Hemp-A-Lot. I don't know. Hemp-A-Lot. It's like Camelot, but it's Hemp-A-Lot. And he's got this cute goat out there that is comical, and he seems to post a lot of stuff on Facebook about it. Like current situation, and then Butters has got his nose up something. I'm like, I have a dog that's a goat, just so you know. Butters the goat. So I was going to do a Butters update. He says, wait till 8 o'clock. Joe, we're off the air at 8 o'clock. Hey, Joe, we're off the air at 8 o'clock. How can I wait until 8? Just using the voice-to-text feature. I thought I turned this off. Oh, it does the ding anyways if you push the button. I did remember to turn it off. Hopefully we will get a Butters update, despite, what Joe had to say. I was hoping Rick Thompson could come on and talk about this MRC thing a little bit more, too, because I called the Planet Green Trees show yesterday, because their show's on right after ours at 8 o'clock on Thursdays only. They're a Thursday night show from 8 until, 10. Oh, man, Joe says no. He says, sorry, I don't have no service. Oh, that's not good. That's no good. We're not going to get a Butters update now. Oh, well. I'm trying to remember to do Butters updates on Friday, but sometimes I get confused by things like the Cannabis Cup and, the stupid mobile app thing we're working on, technicians, and then they're always calling AT&T and Comcast or something. Some wires are hanging somewhere, something going on. So I forget to do the Butters update on Friday, and now that I have remembered to do a bona fide Butters update, Joe says, I'm traveling and there's no service. It's bad enough that Joe's like in an area out in the woods, out in Saranac, Michigan. Beautiful Saranac. Go blue. Or what's the Michigan thing? What's the stupid Michigan campaign? I can't remember. That's how bad it is. They got that guy doing the stupid Michigan campaign commercials. You see him all the time on national TV. Pure Michigan, that's what it is. I had to run the commercial through my head. Pure Michigan. Joe Saranac is pure Michigan. Joe Saranac. Joe in Saranac. Jeez Louise. All right, so where are we going at with story action stuff that's going on? Back to the main grind. Coming back after the break, I got to. So I never read you the story. Oh, jeez. Never got through this jury nullification thing. For the first time ever, the topic of jury. I hope we got enough time to read the story now, because it seems like it's. We'll try and squeeze through what we can. I'll do this other crazy story first. We'll come back with a jury nullification story after the bottom of the hour break. Because it's a longer story. There's this, and then there's the headline story. I don't want to miss that. That's the thing about the Illinois doctor. I've got to tell you about that because that's driving me nuts. They're charging this Illinois doctor, or they're sanctioning him, or threatening his license. We'll talk about that in the next segment, and then also so from the dumbass department. I'll try and squeeze this out now. I think I got time, even if I can get into the music. This is from who's this from? Doesn't say. Oh, it's newson6.com. Newson6.com. A man was cited for bringing drugs into Tulsa County Courthouse on Friday morning. A News on 6 photojournalist was at the courthouse for a separate matter when he witnessed a man running from a security guard about 11 a.m. So he followed with his camera. The court administrator said it started when the man was attempting to pass through the security checkpoint in the building as he attempted to empty his pockets into the plastic x-ray bucket. One of the items he dropped in was marijuana. The guard was taking him into custody when he took off running and a chase ensued. The camera caught up with him as the guard was holding the man down on the ground and placing his handcuffs outside. The sheriff said, "Look, leave your drugs and paraphernalia at home because we can't let you in. Any guns, knives, drugs, or paraphernalia." Duh.
You're getting the full melt.
Get ready, let's go. Hey, na, 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 na. Oh, hey, now, let's go. Yeah, I've got style. I'll make it wild. I'll change it up and switch it up so versatile. I'll be myself and I'm gonna let everybody know.
We have the latest styles to mix it and mash it. So make it your own and bend the trend. JCPenney. When it fits, you feel it. During the JCPenney Back to School Hot Sale, get an extra $10 off when you spend $25 or more with coupon. Nike, Converse, Levi's, and other exclusions apply.
Get growing with GrowMax. Indoor, outdoor, beginner, or a warehouse full of Gavitas. Probiotic organics, or huge production with Max Power Monster Aeroponics systems. We can help you rock it. YouTube GrowMax with 2 X's. Customer service is why we're blowing up. And I'm Dave. My cell number is 906-221-2111. We also specialize in electrical and HVAC and new double-ended bulb technology. 906-221-2111. Get growing. GrowMax.
Don't miss the first ever cannabis competition this year as the prize contest moves from Amsterdam to Jamaica. That's right, it's all Jamaican fun now with the Big Cup competition in Negril this November. Get your best travel accommodations now at JamaicaPot.com. Pack your beach bong and swimsuit and party down at the warm sandy beaches of Negril, Jamaica for the first ever big cannabis event this year. Do it in style or come have fun on a budget. Best travel prices now at JamaicaPot.com. That's JamaicaPot.com.
If you're like us, your pets aren't just animals. They're members of your family. Pet Pain CBD hemp oil drops are great for aging as well as active dogs and cats. Some people are apprehensive about hemp treatments for pets, They ask us, what are you smoking? Absolutely nothing, and neither will your pet. Like other hemp-based products for humans, the allure is all of the benefits of cannabis without any of the high. The CBD oil has shown to rejuvenate the bones, joints, brain, stomach, eyes, and heart. And the drops contain absolutely no corn, wheat, soy, artificial colors and flavors, or preservatives. Pick some up today. Visit petpain.com or ask for Pet Pain at your local pet store. Petpain.com. CBD relief for your pet.
It's the Full Melt Radio Show. Super simple to find us. If you'd like to subscribe to the program, just go to thefullmelt.com, find the iTunes link, click and subscribe. You'll get a copy of the show every day. Look, police are so scared of jury nullification, they defied judge's order and unlawfully removed activists. This according to a report out of Denver, Colorado. For the first time ever, the topic of jury nullification has become a trending national news story thanks to the aggression of an overzealous police department. Jury nullification activists have gathered near a Denver courthouse in recent weeks, hoping... See, now I always do this. I turned the ringer off, but I'm just going to answer it on air now. Hello, Rick Thompson. We are on the air.
Hi, Steve. How are you?
I'm great. You know that we're on the air between 7 and 8, right? Yes? No? Yes? Hello? Oh, dang it. It said, call failed. Dang it. Let's just try him back, shall we? I thought he hung up on me. Oh, I'm on the air? Crap. Not at all. Rick's used to being on the air. Surprise calls from people on the air. I'll put them right on. I don't care.
Hello?
Monsieur Thompson.
Yes, sir.
So I said, you know we're on the air between 7 and 8, right? Were you trying to call me on the air?
I'd forgotten that we were on the air from 7 to 8. I did forget that.
That's okay, because normally you call on the studio line. It didn't light up. I was like, hey, look, Rick Thompson's calling. I'm going to put him on.
You know, it's been a pretty dynamic week in marijuana news, that's for sure.
Look, I was just starting to tell people a story that I teased him about before the break. We just came back out of the break, and I was starting to tell him a story out of Denver, Colorado. Did you see the jury nullification story out of there?
I saw the highlights, but I didn't see the details, so I will be just as eager as your listening audience to hear the details.
All right, so here we go. Phone battery withstanding. See if it holds up. So out of Denver, Colorado, this is according to the freethoughtproject.com. I'm not sure if they wrote this story or if they're picking it up off the paper, but either way. For the first time ever, the topic of jury nullification has become a trending national news story. I'm going to pull the volume down on Rick's thing. Thanks to the aggression of an overzealous police department. Jury nullification activists have gathered near a Denver courthouse in recent weeks, hoping to inform jurors and other citizens about nullifying unjust laws. When they were met with resistance from police, a federal judge granted an injunction stating the activists had the right to hand out jury nullification literature. However, on Wednesday morning, police defied the judge's order and removed a tent that the activists had placed in front of the courthouse. For those who don't know, jury nullification is the right for any juror to not only judge the facts of the case, but is also to judge the validity of the law itself. If a jury feels that a defendant is facing an unjust charge, they have the right to rule in the defendant's favor, even if they're technically guilty under the court standards. Federal and individual state governments are terrified about this concept becoming mainstream, as it could lead to radical change in regards to victimless crimes. Immediately after the police tore down the activists' encampment, civil rights attorney David Lane filed a motion accusing Denver Police Chief Robert White of contempt of court because his agency violated the federal court order. According to the paperwork that Lane filed, the police confiscated over 1,000 pamphlets, several signs, and other operational gear such as a shade tent, a table, chairs, and various other items. The terms of the original order said that the activists were free to hand out literature but not trample the grass or set up permanent structures. The activists and police disagreed as to whether or not the shade tent was a permanent structure. I mean, a shade tent is definitely, is a beach tent, a beach umbrella, a permanent structure? I think not.
Lane says that even if the police did have the right to take the shade tent, which they did not, they still would not have the right to take the literature. Lane and the jury nullification activists are currently awaiting the judge's decision on the recent complaint that was filed. What do you got to say about that, Mr. Thompson?
Well, I can remember in 2012 almost going to jail for jury tampering for trying to do jury nullification activities outside Barb Agro's case. Chuck Ream, Jamie Lowell, Bob Redden, myself, and some other people very nearly got tossed in the can. In fact, they almost declared a mistrial and had to survey the jurors to find out whether they'd been influenced by our activities out front. We pretty much thought we were legal at that time, and what this federal court judge is saying in Denver is that we were legal back in 2012 because we did even less activities than they're doing right now.
Right. All we did was walk around and hand out flyers because I was there, too. I saw Gersh Avery there with his little peanut butter pack on. Remember, he had the sign with the big thing hanging over his head?
Yep. And there were we had jury with the T-shirts printed up that said Barb Agro is a medical marijuana patient and no patient, no crime, things like that. Those are the things that they made us turn our T-shirts inside out. They made us discard literature.
Well, perhaps now I could see how they might be able to say, look, if you got pot leaves or if you got some, like a green cane or something that has some meaning attached to it, I could see them arguing against that. I think what the federal judge would say, and I'm just surmising, but using my best guess at it, the federal judge might say that, look, that might not be allowed, but what is allowed is your ability to hand out pamphlets talking about what jury nullification is and their rights to use it.
Mm-hmm. The right to communicate with the electorate is really what's being impeached by the police here. And Steve, we know this, that knowledge is power. The police know that too. So they try and suppress knowledge, or they try and suppress the expression of information in order to keep people compliant. And that certainly seems like what's happening here in Colorado. I'm awfully glad that this became national news because it's about time that our jury nullification efforts got legitimate credence.
No question. Look, I'm glad that this came out because it might start a new jury nullification panel here in Michigan to run around and start doing that stuff again. Because what they were doing, remember, there were detectives, unmarked detectives hanging outside, taking pictures of people, handing out literature, trying to wrap them up and threatening them with a case of jury tampering. You're not jury tampering when you're informing the electorate. When you're informing the people who are there about what their jobs are what the scope of their ability is as a juror, I don't think that's tampering. I think that's making an informed juror.
It certainly is. And their concern with us in 2012 was that we were directly communicating with people that were selected already as jurors, even though we would have no way of knowing who those jurors were and who they weren't.
Correct.
So
because they're anonymous. They don't come with names. They come with juror numbers.
Exactly correct. And that's for a very valid reason, and that's a good part of the system. It protects jurors from being tampered with. But when that protection's in place, then you have to say, great, now the citizenry can say whatever they want because our system is secure and the jurors won't be unduly impressed one way or the other.
Look, because I think I would tend to agree with the judge if you started talking about marijuana specifically, because now you're talking about a specific case or a set of cases, and rather than having any scope of that pie whatsoever, if you just stick to this is what jury nullification is, understand if it's an unjust law, you don't have to convict them even though they've been proven guilty. I don't care if they admitted it. You don't have to convict them. If you think that what they're doing it doesn't require punishment, then you shouldn't punish them.
Steve, I think there was a story from earlier in 2015. I would like to say New Hampshire or Massachusetts, where a cannabis patient was set free because of jury nullification that was successfully used in their case. Do you recall that?
I do not.
I absolutely can remember that at some point. And I think the fact that we have that system in the American governmental policies means that we recognize sometimes government can overheed their bounds, and that it is the responsibility of the citizenry to draw those lines for them.
When I started before, you didn't have the benefit of hearing before you called this thing that I was addressing the audience about, which is the underpinning, the thing that got Colorado legislators and political officials to take notice of the medical marijuana and legalization of cannabis movement and to start to ally with them. The moment that changed was the moment that prosecutors realized they could not get a conviction on any marijuana case in the state.
You know, while we're sitting here, I looked this up. In two separate instances in 2015 over this year, the Kansas Supreme Court has upheld the concept of jury nullification in this facility.
Right.
And I do see New Hampshire jury nullification affected prosecutorial discretion. And that's in New Hampshire. So, as I mentioned, both places, all across the states, people know that this is possible. It's just been so repressed that it hasn't been a tool useful for activists like ourselves.
Exactly. So I think that's an important thing to take note of. If you ever get called, if you're listening to this show and you ever get called as a juror and you get a pot case, you know, they have this voir dire process. You know what the voir dire process is, Rick? I'm sure you do.
I do, but your listeners don't, so explain it out.
So there's this process that they call voir dire in court, where they have an opportunity as the prosecutor or as the defendant to challenge a presented juror based on some nondescript information that they provided during the questioning period that they get to do, which I think is ridiculous. I think you should shuffle a bunch of people in there, and there shouldn't be any questioning of jurors. You should just bring people in that are your peers, and they get to decide the case. I think this idea of questioning stacks the deck. Don't you think, Rick?
It is. Steve, correct me if I'm wrong, but don't the defense attorneys and prosecutors only get to do that with a certain number of jurors, and then they're just stuck and they have to deal with whatever comes in after that?
Actually, I think if memory serves, Rick, and I'm not an attorney, so you can't quote me on this, but I'm pretty sure I'm pretty sure of the accuracy of my statement on this, though. I think they have a number of what they call preemptory challenges. And that when you exhaust your preemptory challenges, then now you have to give a reason, and the judge and the prosecutor might have to agree with your reason for challenging a juror. But your ability to challenge a juror without question and just kick them off the panel is limited in number. And so...
So if a person says, my mom has cancer, a prosecutor could say, I don't want him on a marijuana jury because he may be sympathetic to the ill person that's being charged.
Correct.
So they would use that as a justification to take him off. But at a certain point, if there are 20 people that say that, you cannot remove 20 people from a potential jury pool. You
Correct.
can end up getting stuck with them at some point. Right.
Exactly. And that's why they have a limited number of voir dire challenges. And then they have a number of other challenges they could bring with cause. And then, they'd have to hang around the cause in the courtroom. Rick, we're going to break. Hang on a second, will you, buddy?
Sure, bud. You are.
Stand by. We're going to break. We'll come back with much, much more. You're listening to The Full Melt Show.
You're getting The Full Melt.
Young students are our future. They're eager to learn, eager to succeed, eager to make the world a better place. And they want to make it to school safely. Share the road, take care when passing, and always leave 3 feet between you and people on bikes. Bikes are legal road vehicles. We're all drivers.
Imagine a world where patients can use marijuana like any other medicine. The Marijuana Patients Organization challenges the status quo by helping our neighbors to enjoy a better quality of life. Visit the MPO at marijuanapatients.org and enjoy informative articles, engaging debates, and information about treatments, doctors, and dispensaries in your area. Over 50,000 people have registered at marijuanapatients.org since 2010. Join us at the Marijuana Patients Organization today, marijuanapatients.org.
Hey, it's Steve Green for the Sweet Leaf in Flint, because now getting safe access to medical cannabis patients in Flint, Michigan is never more welcoming. Presenting the Sweet Leaf, a brand new patient experience bringing 12 carefully selected caregivers housed in 9 separate offices to distinctly assist you with their knowledge and reputation for excellent patient care. Classes and training coming soon in the large community room. Check it out in person, 400 South Door Highway, or call 810-259-2571. The Sweet Leaf Center in Flint, 810-259-2571.
If you're like us, your pets aren't just animals. They're members of your family. Pet Pain CBD hemp oil drops are great for aging as well as active dogs and cats. Some people are apprehensive about hemp treatments for pets. They ask us, what are you smoking? Absolutely nothing, and neither will your pet. Like other hemp-based products for humans, The allure is all of the benefits of cannabis without any of the high. The CBD oil has shown to rejuvenate the bones, joints, brain, stomach, eyes, and heart. And the drops contain absolutely no corn, wheat, soy, artificial colors and flavors, or preservatives. Pick some up today. Visit petpain.com or ask for Pet Pain at your local pet store. Petpain.com. CBD relief for your pet.
Got something to hide? Canalock offers discreet and effective storage solutions that destroy odor, so nobody knows. Canalock is a patented charcoal-activated bag that discreetly stores your marijuana. Canalock is made from the same material as military chemical warfare suits. Get yours at canalock.com. Visit canalock.com to learn more about no-smell technology.
It's the Full Melt Radio Show. We're back talking with Rick Thompson about cannabis-related stuff, various and sundry in nature. Rick, welcome back to the show. I wanted to ask you, got some kind of event coming up. You want to tell us about it a little bit real quick?
Oh, I'd love to tell you about it. It's the Michigan Marijuana Cannabis Business Development Conference. This is a series of 9 seminars taking place over 7 hours at the Holiday Inn Gateway Center on September 26th. The seminar topics are going to be varied, but all business-related, including a legislative update delivered to us by Robin Snyder of the National Patients' Rights Association. She'll tell us about all the bills, what's pending, what's been proposed, and what's coming up. There's also a case law update that'll be performed by knowledgeable attorneys. It's going to give a scholarly, dispassionate look at all the different cases and what they could mean for businesses and for patients and caregivers too, especially Hartwick, Tuttle, Mazer, and some of the additional issues we've had with public cases too.
In Michigan here, yeah.
We'll also have seminars about networking.
We're starting to break up on you, Rick. Say it again. Networking and
networking and Small Business 101. A lot of people get into the business involved in cannabis because it's their love, it's their hobby, and they're able to make it their vocation, but they just don't know a whole lot about the business of business. So people need to know about accounting and what's legitimate and what's not. So we'll have experts there to talk about that as well.
Licensing and all that stuff, all the hoops you got to jump through, where and what, the who, what, where, when, why, and how. That's what it is, Rick, isn't it?
It sure is. And I'm waiting on a confirmation right now from a Small Business Association representative who may be presenting there too. A lot of people could use the resources available to them from an SBA, but they just don't know that they're eligible for those. Or they may be concerned that because of the nature of our business, that the Small Business Association isn't going to want to help them, or that there's going to be some kind of a tattletale situation. So
right. Well, it sounds like an awesome thing. If I'm trying to start a marijuana business, are there lawyers there? Are you going to have any lawyers?
Oh, tons of lawyers. It's going to be lousy with attorneys.
Lousy with attorneys.
We'll have attorneys delivering the case law updates. Plus, one of these seminars is being sponsored by Bernard Jockins, who's a criminal defense attorney from Lapeer. Michael Camoran will be speaking in at least one, if not two, of the seminars that we're doing. We'll have some big name people delivering the information here.
Awesome. If they want to get tickets to it, where can they go?
www.micbd.com.
MICBD.com.
CBD, Cannabis Business Development, yes.
I like it.
Steve, you talked about various and sundry. Here's something that I want to toss out there for you. Do you realize that on the 26th of August is the 5-year anniversary from the raids on the clinical dispensary in Ferndale? And did you know that case is still ongoing? Barb Agro, into her 70s now, is still defending herself against felony charges. The Agros themselves, Ryan Rich, all the rest of the folks, these guys are still in the court system 5 years later.
I'm fully aware of that. I did not realize that it was a full 5 years. I thought we were just into 4. But good Lord, if that's the case, it seems like the wheels of justice, which are supposed to be swift, grind slow when you talk about marijuana. And the Attorney General, Mr. Bill Billy Bong, and then also the prosecutor Jessica Cooper over there in Oakland County under the auspice, of the whole medical marijuana act denial. And, I mean, it just seems like this Zimmer guy who belongs under a rock, if you ask me, because that's where you got to live if you're going to make a decision like this against children. If you understand what those kids are going through and the decision that you made and the impact that you had on the lives of not only those children, but the entire supportive family of each one of them is impacted by your decision, sir. I hope you can sleep at night. Not.
Yep. Let me finish out the thought, though, Steve. It's not just the Agro case that still persists in the courts either. The Blue Water case with Jim and Deb and still is at a 4-year anniversary. They were December of 2011. So we're almost at 4 years for them. They were just in court Wednesday of this week, having an exploratory hearing. They're set up for Section 4 and Section 8 trials running into 2016.
How much exploring you need to do 5 years into the damn case? Seriously. What have you been doing for 5 years? Sitting on your thumb? Pull out a plum?
What they do is they set these meetings and they say, hey, we decided to take a deal yet? Nope, okay, sorry. I just interviewed Paul Talenda today, who's an attorney, coincidentally, who's involved in both.
We love Paul Talenda.
Paul's a great guy, wonderful dude, and he's involved in both the Agro cases and the Blue Water case. And he tells me that for the first time ever, and you'll read this in the Compassion Chronicles tomorrow, so I'm giving you an exclusive tonight.
Oh, wow.
That for the first time in 5 years, the Oakland County Prosecutor's Office has made an offer, a plea deal to the people involved in the clinical release case.
I would say no, absolutely no. The reason you're giving me a plea deal is because you understand that your underpinnings have been undermined by the Supreme Court. Screw you, swallow it.
Yep, I'm familiar with the deal that was offered, although I'm not able to share that with anyone, even on the Compassion Chronicles. I have to tell you, I don't see any of those guys taking this offer, to be honest with you. It indicates that they're in a more conciliatory mood than they have been before, but their offer still smacks of 2011 hatred, you know?
Well, it's going to stay that way. As long as Jessica Cooper and the sheriff over there in Oakland County, Mr. Bouchard, and the attorney general in our state, as long as this government is in place, there will be full brakes on marijuana until they've padded their buddies' pockets with their own legislation if they can get away with it, the greasy bastards.
I think you're absolutely right. Here's one way the clock is our friend on this. Paul and I were speaking earlier today. I believe 2016 is when Jessica Cooper's up for re-election. Now, Paul didn't discuss this with me, but I'd be willing to bet that if she wants to be reelected in 2016, what she does not want is a full-blown trial with Barb Agro and Nick and everybody else.
Then she best dismiss that case, because there are a lot of attorneys with veins in their teeth over this for that woman.
And I'll be honest with you, there's a ton of attorneys that are involved. There are currently, I think there are 6 defendants in the clinical release case. Each one of them has an attorney. And listen to the names of these attorneys: Paul Talenda, Neil Rockhind, Tom Lowe. We've got some big name folks that are involved in this case, and they have been for a while. So
those are 3 top-notch pros right there. If you're going to Michigan, those are the first 3 I'm calling.
And those guys know what the media is good for, and the media loves them all. They're stand-up guys that have never been disgraced. They've always done good, and they stand up for their clients. So when they want media attention, they get it. And right now, government gone bad stories are very popular amongst people. We love to hear how the government's screwing folks over. Those get lots of likes and shares on social media, and they get very much populated throughout the blogosphere. So they would just eat up the story about the 5-year marijuana case, a 5-year-long pot.
Listen, Rick, we just got a couple minutes left in the show. I wanted to cover the headliner story, which I billboarded on the show. I labeled the show "Illinois Doctor Fights Charges," that he misled patients about marijuana. Are you familiar with this story?
I certainly am, and I'm a little bit outraged, Steve.
So, really quickly, before we go end of the show, supporters of an Illinois doctor who's in trouble for a marijuana recommendation says his case could have a chilling effect on other doctors participating in the state's medical cannabis pilot program. Dr. Joseph Starkman, he's 36, facing possible suspension or revocation of his license for multiple violations of the Medical Practice Act. Starkman finished his testimony Friday, said Stephanie Wolfson, an attorney for Starkman who was at the hearing. State regulators alleged Starkman misled a 79-year-old patient by issuing a bogus medical marijuana certification for $250. They claimed Starkman told the patient he told the patient he qualified for marijuana after learning the man had a previous diagnosis of glaucoma, but that Starkman didn't perform an eye exam himself. So what they're saying is, even though he knew he had glaucoma, and certified him under the program because he didn't perform the glaucoma certification on his own, determined that he had glaucoma by performing his own exam, that he's somehow in violation of something. The department will investigate complaints of illegal and unprofessional behavior by physicians, including those involved in the medical cannabis pilot program, and if the evidence clearly demonstrates non-compliant actions, intends to discipline violators, said a spokesman for the Illinois Department of Financial and Professional Regulation, the equivalent of LARA here in Michigan. The Illinois medical marijuana law requires a bona fide patient relationship with a physician. Beyond a marijuana consultation, doctors must attest that any patient recommendation for the program has an approved diagnosis and is likely to benefit from the marijuana. Hey, sorry, Rick, we're at the end of the show, man. Thanks for coming on. TheCompassionChronicles.com. He's got an exclusive for you tomorrow about stuff happening here in Michigan. Don't miss it. We'll catch you tomorrow on The Full Melt Show.
The Full Melt Show is a production of TFM Media.